States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone. Do you have anybody here with concerns today, public concerns? Seeing none, I think we'll move down first to the claims to get them approved so they can start on those since we've got many items on the agenda. Has anybody had a chance to look at the claims?
Approve the agenda.
Oh, yeah, we could do that. Motion for the agenda.
We need to amend it, take off
Take off Tim Stimson.
He will not be.
I'll do that,
With that amended?
John, I guess.
Stan will not be.
Okay.
He's gonna go to the board of review first, so. Board of Justice. The motion for the...
I'll make that motion with, that amendment.
All right, second.
Bennett.
All in favor? Aye. And we got 3 sets of minutes too, this morning. One to each and... Two sets. Well, 3 different meetings.
I'll make a motion to the minutes.
Rick, is there a second?
Second it.
All in favor? Aye. All right, now we've got a public concerns, nobody there. On the claims then?
So the general was 211,623.11. Is that what we had? I'll make a motion to approve that.
And then drainage,
19,496.52. Make a motion to approve both those.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. Okay, so this first item this morning, John, you're with us, why don't you go ahead and you can present. Good morning.
Morning.
Well, bring you up to date on several things. First of all, I'm sure you're all aware that the legislature is in full blow. Last Friday was the first, what they call the final deadline. So you have to have, there are exceptions, but you have to have bills out of committee by Friday for them to still be alive in the process. So that's always a big obstacle that people have to contend with, and we had one bill that we were watching that we were successful with. A little bit of background. I think most, I don't know about your county, but I think most of the counties are insured by ICAP. And ICAP was also issuing coverage to several drainage districts. And mainly they were covering trustee-run districts in different parts of the state. And the ICAP legal counsel took a look at state law, and of course, you know, coverage and insurance issues with drainage districts has pretty much got a lot of scrutiny right now. Took a look at state law and made the decision that they really didn't feel like they had the authority to cover those drainage districts, and canceled them, issued cancellation notices to them. So the ICAP people, along with ISAC, came to us back in December and proposed that legislation be drafted which would allow ICAP to cover drainage districts, be they trustee-run districts or be they supervisor-run districts. So that legislation was drafted, and we had our first, like I said, our first final deadline on Friday, and the bill did come out of committee on Thursday, as a matter of fact, so we have met the final deadline on that. So that might be something in the future, you know, if you all are interested, there would be some coverage extended possibly if we get this bill passed. So we're working on that. The other issues we're watching very closely, of course, is there's a number of different proposals out there to provide money for water quality funding. The governor came out with a proposal announced a proposal in December, which basically extends the school infrastructure fund and then takes some of the revenues in that fund and shifts it over to water quality. I don't think, from what I've heard and seen so far, that the governor's proposal in its original format has much steam behind it. But I think it's a starting point. So there is going to be discussion. There will be other things that will be looked at as they go through the process. I think there will be quite a bit of discussion this year about finding revenue sources to provide additional funding for water quality projects, and that's a good thing. Whether anything significant is going to pass or not, it's too early to tell. Number one, you're going to have a lot of ideas, and those have to coalesce. If you're going to be successful in the legislature, you're going to have some basic agreement on some issues. Secondly, if you're talking about increased funding, that money has to come from somewhere. And anytime, I don't care what you're talking about, be it water quality or schools or public improvements or whatever, anytime the legislature starts to have discussions on, finding significant new revenues for fill in the blank, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult to get that done. Particularly when you have one party in control of the House, one party in control of the Senate, makes it a little more problematic in terms of getting agreement on those kinds of issues. But the discussion has started, and we'll see what happens as we go through the legislative process, and obviously IDDA will be part of that process and watching that very closely. Some of you were in attendance at the annual conference back in December. We've had, I think, record attendance at that. For the second year in a row now, we have carved out special time for the drainage clerks, and they seem to really, really like that, and I think that's contributed to our attendance. Some of the drainage clerks were of the opinion that the meeting really wasn't, brass tacks enough for them. It was a little too theoretical and philosophical, and they wanted something more on, just the issues they're dealing with on a daily basis. So we did make that decision a couple of years ago to allow that, and that has gone very well. And we also have drainage clerk who's going to be attending the IDDA board meetings now, and I think that'll be positive. Yeah. So the last thing I'll talk about, obviously, is the lawsuit, the Waterworks lawsuit, and where we stand on that. Again, a little bit of history here. I know that all of you are aware that Waterworks has filed suit against 10 different drainage districts in 3 counties. That suit was filed in March. Important distinction to make here is that lawsuit, as it was filed, has 2 very distinct parts. The first part, which is really sort of the meat of the lawsuit, is the clean water allegations. And that is where Waterworks contends that drainage districts as an entity should be declared a point source of pollution and should have to be permitted by DNR under the Clean Water Act. So essentially, and nobody really knows how this would work, essentially what would have to happen is either elected trustees or you all would have to go to the DNR and get a permit before landowners in your county could continue to drain land. We don't know how that process would work. The permit doesn't exist right now. It's not there. We don't know whether that would be one permit per county, which is probably unlikely, or one permit per drainage district, or one permit per outlet, or we have no idea how that would work. And it would essentially turn you all into drainage police. I mean, this is what would happen. It would turn drainage district trustees and, enforcement actions on landowners in your county. having no staff, but, you know, that's what would happen. So that's the first part of the bill, is the Clean Water Act, stuff. The second part of the bill is, I have to read these, so I keep track of them all. Second part of the bill is a number of, allegations that were made under state law, in terms of, you know, basically, for lack of a better term, let's sort of throw stuff on the wall and see what sticks. So, number of allegations, they basically claim that, drainage districts were a statutory nuisance, were a private nuisance, were guilty of trespass, were negligent, were taking property of the Des Moines Water Works without just compensation, and that the lawsuit alleges that the immunity, the legal immunity that drainage districts now have as a result of previous Supreme Court decisions is outmoded and outdated and should be done away with. So those are all state issues. So what has happened since then is, the trial is gone for scheduling to Federal District Court in Sioux City. The attorneys for the three counties basically filed paperwork and said that the lawsuit should be dismissed for legal reasons, and they wrote a really, really good brief. I will say it was a very strong brief. So Judge Bennett, who keeps past tense now because there's been a new judge assigned. But Judge Bennett was the judge at the time, held a hearing back in December, Christmas week, as a matter of fact, 2015, on dismissal of the lawsuit. And so the hearing was held, and then in January, Judge Bennett came out with a ruling that basically said that it was an order that he sent to the Iowa Supreme Court, and basically he said, he told the Supreme Court, he said, I want you all to take a look at all the state issues. So that second list that I read you, all the nuisance stuff and negligence and taking the property without compensation, etc. So Judge Bennett told the Iowa Supreme Court to take those issues up and rule on them, and that he would not rule on the dismissal of the lawsuit until such time that the Iowa Supreme Court had ruled on these secondary issues. So that's where we are right now. All the focus is shifted away from federal court to the state Supreme Court. State Supreme Court is in the process of scheduling briefs. I believe some of the briefs on behalf of Waterworks have already been turned in. Defendants, I believe, have until middle of March sometime to file answer briefs, which obviously will be done. So the court has sort of fast-tracked this thing. The Supreme Court has sort of fast-tracked this thing. Once all the briefs are filed, they'll schedule hearings, and then once hearings are held, they'll issue a decision, in which case, at which point everything shifts back to federal court. It's hard to predict the actions of the court and prognosticate what they might say. But I will say that for the Supreme Court to find in favor of Waterworks on these issues, they would basically have to reverse previous decisions. They've stated they've had previous cases which they've ruled on that they have, one of which IDDA was involved in, which was the Calhoun County Railroad case, where they have maintained a pretty strong stance on the immunity of drainage districts and the ability of drainage districts to be sued. So, I guess it's possible the Supreme Court may turn that around, but we're hopeful that they won't, and we're going to do everything we can as an association to make sure that the counties have the best legal support that we can provide. Obviously, we're not directly involved in the lawsuit, we're sort of helping around the edges. But we do intend to file a friend at the court brief in support of the three counties. And so we'll see at that point.
So we have involvement, John, so they know that Iowa drainage districts have involvement now too, because we're gonna file a brief.
Yes, we do.
Spent lots of hours and time on that also, getting that ready, and some paperwork.
Sure, there will be,
And we'll
yeah.
have some financial costs.
Yep.
Also, which
Yep.
I've seen some of the bills already.
But it's important that, the counties have support, and we will do that.
But if there's ever a time to participate and get involved, it's now, before, I mean, we wanna stay involved,
Yeah.
show support and be involved in what's going on, because it does affect all of us.
Yeah, sure it does.
Why don't the damn land owners sue them for dumping it back into the river again?
Well, that's a good question.
Well, I think as things go on, a lot of things will be looked at, but at this point, we need to address what we're being charged with. And
Yeah.
If we get through this and get it resolved, fine.
Yeah.
It goes away. If it doesn't, there'll be other actions, I'm sure.
And like I said, Judge Bennett, who did all this, is now, gone into retirement, so there's a new judge.
Do you see that being a problem or a difference or anything? Will the new judge have to review everything all over?
I'm not an attorney, I can't answer that. It's just part of the process.
It can happen.
Yeah.
So in your eyes, John, how long do you think this thing is gonna take? Quite a while, isn't it?
Well, no matter what, so the case has to go through the Supreme Court, the Iowa Supreme Court, goes back to the federal court. Federal court has scheduled, hearings, in August. Now, obviously, if the state Supreme Court has not ruled yet, that'll get pushed back. So whether that schedule is realistic or not, we don't know at this point. But say the Supreme Court turns this around, it goes to hearing in August, and then you have, a period of time for the judge to issue a ruling, and my guess is, no matter what the judge rules, that'll be appealed. So then you're in, federal district court, I believe, in St. Louis. It's gonna be a multi-year process. Lots of money spent. So that's all I had for now, unless there's any questions.
That's quite a bit, right? Well, I think we're doing the best we can. I think we're involved, we're engaged. I'm thankful we have a drainage district association, because at this point, it's probably has a lot of merit and value to help. I mean, we need to have our voice, and the best voice is through this process versus going to the papers. Anything that's written or said in the papers, and we've had this discussion, John, in our meetings, and, somebody says we need to be more vocal and speak out back. It doesn't do any good to speak in the paper. You need to get to if we're gonna have to go to court, let's go to court, let's prove our case there and see what happens. If we don't get this ruling in our favor, just like...
There's lots of issues and side issues, but the most important thing is this lawsuit right now. And seeing and doing what we can to make sure there's successful resolution of this lawsuit and the drainage rights for landowners are protected in the state of Iowa.
I think the other thing is just the common sense part of it. We all know that all of the farmers that, they don't do anything out of just for the fun of it,
Right.
They're all good stewards, and if, it's our obligation if something up here happens that we report something. So we're all in it, together, so hopefully...
In a lot of cases, this land has been drained for 100-plus years, and all of a sudden somebody's coming and saying, too bad, that's illegal.
Right, I'm trying to rewrite things. Well, thank you, John, for coming up. Anything else?
Always a pleasure.
We'll keep you informed.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Thanks much.
Dennis?
Yeah.
Come up, you're up.
Okay. I took that bill, Blacktop Service, presented it to the council. They rejected it. They thought it was an unauthorized expenditure, which the city council did not authorize. And they refused to pay it. We did not contact Blacktop Service to do that work. It was done through the drainage clerk. at that meeting. That was in mid-September. And, there was not a motion on it. Nobody voted on it. They just instructed Trish to call Blacktop Service and have the work done. So, somehow we're gonna have to resolve this situation.
Well, what's to do when we're talking, like you say, we can't do something that's against law,
Well,
but maybe we'll have to look at it a little deeper.
And I'm on city council, so
Yeah.
that's why I'm here. But,
Oh, okay.
yeah, we felt like, you know, it would be like us going ahead saying, do the project and then bill the county. I mean, we didn't even really, we were told the county's gonna cover it, and then I heard that they found something where you guys weren't supposed to cover it. But, yeah, we felt like, okay, so, and the cost, we think would have been significantly less if we would've given the go-ahead, because I think they dug deeper than needed, or took wider, or something like
they had a
that.
4-foot ditch, 4 foot wide, and to eliminate their handwork, they took their scarifier and went 6 foot wide, rather than the 4 foot,
Mhm.
which increased the cost by at least a third.
Mhm.
And we do contract with Blacktop every year,
Yeah.
so we might have been able to get it at a cheaper rate than what it was done at, so, you know, we just were kind of surprised, because we were told, oh, it's covered, and through the whole process, and I think we got the bill in December, and so Chris, I called, and they said, send the bill over, yep, we'll take care of it.
Mhm.
January, we get a bill again, and then we find out that it wasn't supposed to be a county obligation to pay it, but,
Well, it sounds like we're gonna have to go back between communication between Doug and Trish and where it started and what the communications were. I mean, Doug Marshall was a contractor.
Doug was a contractor.
So, I don't have any confirmation of what he said or didn't say, whether he remembers what he said, but...
He told
it
us
starts
the
there.
county would cover all expenses, the drainage district would, is what we were
And
told.
saying that needs to be verified with Doug. I mean, I haven't asked him that question. I mean, Rick, where would you see this going? I mean...
Well, it's gonna be communication at this point, because I don't know what Doug said either, and I wasn't aware that they made it wider to make the machine
Yeah,
work.
that's the first thing.
Yeah, I didn't remember hearing that before either, so.
And then along those lines, what Trish and her, Doug communicated, and with back to
Yes.
you and back to your office.
Yes, yes.
If it doesn't get paid and it's an outstanding bill, I guess it has to go to the next step, apparently. I don't know.
And Doug Strike, you'll have some communication with him again, I'm sure, on
Oh,
it,
I'm
to
sure.
be sure, from a legal standpoint, where you stand.
Right. And if there was an error or omission or something, we have to look at that, so it's... And Blacktop Service is aware of the situation, I mean, they're not just saying, well, nobody's paying us.
We got a notice from their tax preparer
Okay.
that we had to validate that bill was outstanding.
Okay, sure.
But whether we do that, and that makes us 100% obligated to pay the bill,
You'd have to talk to your lawyer on that one too, probably. So Trish, bring you up to speed on that. You wanna bring Trish up to speed a little bit on, they had a council meeting here the other day, and they denied paying that bill.
okay.
And then, so it's brought back to our attention. So at this point, I think it gets back to the communications between Doug Marshall and what was said or he said, and what he relayed to you, and where you took it from there, and your communications with the engineers or anybody else, or... Because at this point, we can't pay it either, so we're gonna have to start there, in my opinion. We just gotta go back, talk to Doug, that's where it started.
Yeah.
Get more information from him and go from there, and get it to Doug Strike and see what he says, how we're gonna move forward and see.
I've already talked
Oh,
to
have you?
Doug Strike, yeah.
Is he giving you any response?
Just that under the code that
We can't
we
pay.
don't pay, we can't pay for it.
So
That
that's-
bills back to, like secondary roads, the Iowa DOT,
Right,
cities,
railroads.
railroads.
Right.
has this happened recently where you've been into the community and
We
done a
don't,
district, or a drainage district, and then what happened with the road? I mean,
Well,
I think we felt like we would've paid
Go to
it.
the city,
It should've
13.
just come to us first, and we should've authorized the pay.
I understand your point there,
Yeah.
because you
And it
could've
hasn't been-
lumped it with some other repair in the city and got it cheaper.
yeah, Dakota City, when we did,
Or you may have, if you thought it was gonna be your expense, maybe it was something that didn't need draining, you were gonna, I don't know what the situation
The
was.
drainage needed to be
It
done.
needed to be done.
And that needed to be done.
But you might have got by with just, rock in it until...
We could've got by a lot cheaper if Blacktop Service hadn't have come in there, made it 2 foot wider,
Mhm.
and added a third of the cost to it.
Okay. Well,
so why did they make it wider?
To eliminate handwork, is what I was told.
Minimum with their machine must be able to lay down the 6 feet.
The machine, they cored out that ditch with, was 6 foot wide. They brought that over to eliminate handwork, is what I was told.
And you're talking Doug or Blacktop Service?
Blacktop Service did that.
oh,
Seems like there should be some room for negotiation there, but
But if they were gonna do handwork, it would increase labor.
on that side, yeah. So, they must have figured it was a trade-off.
Well, all I can do is look into it further, and I mean, we're not gonna be able, I don't know what's gonna happen on this deal.
Our hands are pretty well tied by what we were told from Doug, correct?
Doug Stride.
Doug Stride.
Doug Stride. And we knew that ourselves, but the communication broke down somewhere is what I'm saying, between, you know, it was to be, you know, from the district, or if it's from the city, you know, and that's the point.
But I think Rick had a point when he said that Doug told you, or told them it'll be taken care of. Did he mean we're gonna fix it? Like he's there to fix it?
yeah.
He didn't mean that he was, you know, someone was,
Well, that's what we need to find out.
Well, and when he says we're gonna fix it, he didn't know whether he's talking fixing the tile, or fixing the street, or patching the street, you know. We have to talk with Doug and see what was, or see, even find out what's going on, I guess, more depth.
but when they say it had to be fixed, so it had to be fixed, it was fixed. Now we just gotta figure out who's gonna get Blacktop Service off the hook for what they did for it, so.
So to some degree, it needed to be fixed.
The
So-
tile needed to
And,
be replaced.
and it needed to go under the road to fix it. Do you
Yes,
believe that?
that's where the...
So you're not really arguing that you wouldn't have some cost, you're arguing that
Right,
maybe this
Like,
should...
would've been less cost.
So that's a starting point. You've
Yeah.
gotta go from there.
At least maybe we can negotiate.
Yeah, that's what I'm
price
getting
between
at. That's
us
what I'm
and
getting at. And
you guys or somebody.
Okay.
Let's do that, that's all we can do, we'll try that and see what we can come up with, put Trish on it and see what she can come up with.
I think the council is in agreement that we probably owe some cost to it, but not the 100%. That's a third of our, almost a third of our road use budget,
Right.
which we don't have until July.
Yeah, because even the farmer's market funds that you get from the county turning it don't cover these things, I know. But that's what that's for too, but, well, let's get on that, let's come, put it on the agenda for another 2 weeks. We need to keep on this, we can't just let it, you know, just say we're gonna look into it, come back in 2 weeks, let's see what we come up with. Is that enough time? Do some research?
Sure.
Let's see what we come up, give her a chance.
But I know it was mid-September when they agreed to fix the street,
Okay,
because after school started.
okay. All right, we'll let Trish work on that hopefully, so, thanks, Dennis. All right, I guess we need to go into drainage. Motion to go to
I'll make
drainage.
a motion to go into drainage.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Alright.
We're in drainage. Thanks, Dennis. All right, Rick, you're on. Looks like we got a pay voucher.
His pay voucher's getting us another step closer to seeing where we're at with the final dollars and getting an agreement with Cretex. I've been in communication with them. the plan is to have that resolved by next Monday. That's where we're at. And now that I have agreement with the installation part of it, that pretty well pins down the pipe amounts. We don't pay for anything that didn't go in the ground, basically. So, we'll have it.
We'll have that.
We'll have that,
All right.
yes, we will, so. But what
We
you're...
have an estimate today, though, right?
Yes, just for the installation part. They finished, and just so you know, one thing we've had trouble getting quickly was well closure certificates. They work with Albert Brothers out of Whittemore, good firm,
Right.
but it was a little slow getting the forms. We already have the well closure forms for all 13 wells, and they've been supplied to Mike Borland. So, that should relieve his mind a lot. He can go to the legislature, whoever, his bosses, and say, here it is, we've got 13 more officially closed, here's what our list is down to. And I had someone in the office last week talking about wetland mitigation, and they're working with the state too to have mitigation acres available. And they're also then working on the wells that you have, a lot of them will be very expensive to close.
And these last ones.
Yes, they're working, trying to come up with some of these locations where ag wells are that are not closed, and possibly expand the wetlands there and use those for mitigation. So, they're working on it, seriously working on it. He came up and got an idea from us on projects we had going, on how many wetlands we might need to mitigate. They got one site that's gonna be available within the next month, and there's another one that'll be no later than this fall that'll have some acres. But they're always looking for more, because any project that goes...
Well, right. And not only that, since we've had such a need for wetland mitigation, I think it's our responsibility, our county, to try to support some of this.
Yes. Yes.
Fairness, I mean, it's not fair to just push it off into another county. We've had a need for it.
That's right.
So closing those 13, what's that get us to then? Do you know?
I've heard the number longer ago, but I don't remember what it
Well,
was.
maybe next week if you
Yeah, I can...
see where
Yeah.
we're at number-wise, so,
Mhm.
I mean,
Probably under 2 dozen, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think
yes.
it's closer to
and where'd we start?
19 or something. Oh, geez, I don't even know that number.
Well, it seemed to me it was in the 60s.
Yeah, I think it was in the 60s.
Probably.
Yeah,
So we...
upper 50s to
Yeah,
60s.
We went a long way.
Oh, yeah,
Might be at a quarter.
yes, that's right. So, no, I'll verify that with Mike. He's got a running inventory on that, and so I can tell you.
Do you working with Mike on the ponding situation for funding, or how we...
Yes, yes. And I've talked to Mark Dickey a couple of times on that again.
Yeah.
This week yet, I'm gonna meet with Pat Hill and Brent Keenest on the appraisal report for 125. That has an allowance in there, and always has, for the easement for the pond. So, that'll be part of that report. The good part of that is we'll have some of the costs taken care of for the pond, even if the pond building gets delayed a little bit. But we'll have the land issue taken care of. He's got trees out of the way. It's ready, I guess, to have something done there.
So moving forward.
Yes, yes. NRCS has worked on the design, they've kind of set it aside because they had more urgent things to work on. I'll be talking to Doug Adams some more about that, if they're gonna have time to, finish that up, because they're shorthanded. They haven't been replacing people that have left.
Yeah, they are.
Their backlog, it's like wetland determinations, there's a huge backlog on, so we're glad we've got what we do.
Okay, so that, she went and got the dollar amount, she can't get the printer to work right now, so we got a problem there. But our pay estimate, number 9, is for $80,015.40. And this would be the final one?
Other than retainage, yep. They were able to put in those 5 area drains, they got the riprap in. I haven't inspected the riprap, but, yeah. There might be some leveling in the spring, but everything's in the ground. So, that's what we're after, yeah. Get the freeze-thaw issue in here. And I did, as part of that, I wanted to just mention you guys, it related to 125 and the appraisal report, that's for the easements. I took another look at possible effect on crop loss from the work on the ground. Maybe Gary can have some feedback here on this. I looked at, other than the actual loss for when they tore a crop out, what might the effect be on production? So I came up with some approximations, using 40% loss the first year of planting afterwards, 20% the second, and 10% the third year. If they average 200 bushels an acre, and they got $4 a bushel for the corn, that would be a loss of about $560 an acre. So I want to come up with a number that pays for that ongoing effect on crop production.
Which we did in the last.
Yes, we did, I believe last time we were down at 400 though, and that just, the general feeling seemed to be that was a little low.
Sure.
So, I went back and looked at it. Now, I'll be meeting with Pat Hill and Brent Keenest on this. They both farm, sell their own crop. I mean, they,
Have good input.
yes, I believe they'll have good input. They've had ground that they've had projects on. So that's something else we're gonna work out this week, and then we'll be submitting that appraisal report too. And then you first have to get notice to all those.
Okay, do I have a motion now for the estimate?
We have, but I'll make the motion for pay estimate number 9 for the amount of $80,015.40 to Denver Underground.
Have a second? Second. Warren? Discussion on this part? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's good.
And that gets us just to the retainage for the project there, is all that remains, right?
Yep, for the installation part of it, yeah.
And next time, we're gonna have the pipe
Yes.
number in our...
And that'll be the last one on that, probably.
That's right,
Okay.
yeah, 'cause you aren't doing retainage on the pipe one.
Right.
We tried that to start with on our first project where we had materials, but it really wasn't fair. I mean, it's there, delivered, it's on the site, then it's the installer's job to take care of it, so.
All right.
I guess just a couple other quick things, I don't know how your schedule is, okay.
We're okay.
DD six Main and Branch B, that's the tile job north of Thor, just real close to Thor there. We're very close on the reclass, I need to meet with commissioners yet. People wanted the reclass done before they officially went ahead, because we've got plans and specs ready too, but, what I'm leaning towards is perhaps an informal hearing on the reclassification. If the project doesn't go forward, technically this reclass isn't appropriate. So,
Sure.
rather than, I mean, if you just did an informal notice, an informal meeting, everybody would be informed, have a chance to provide feedback, and then we can...
What's going on?
Yes.
Go through announcements.
Yes, and then we can decide between us if we wanna go ahead with the bid letting. I'd sure like to get that let no later than sometime in March, if we can.
Because we got good bids last.
Oh, yeah.
It's time to get them out there.
Absolutely, it's time.
Wait for April and May.
That's right, absolutely.
They're looking for work again.
I've been talking to pipe suppliers, and they say, around some of the bigger cities and things, contractors are getting busy, but they said drainage-wise, they have people looking.
All right.
So, it's time. So, we need to be able to decide for sure who can be commissioners on that. I don't remember the date when Dick Nave's back. I think it's late this week, but...
I think he'll be back into March, yeah,
Just into March, I think,
Into that.
yeah. But we don't have, I don't know that you've appointed a second commissioner for sure, but I kept thinking that maybe there could be 2 or 3 other people that could be on a list of people you notify. Retired farmers, active farmers, not from that area.
Which one did we fix? Do we have one listed for that one? Or anything?
I don't think it's beneficial,
Okay,
no,
so we're working on that, yeah.
yeah. So maybe,
I'll talk to Trish on that. see if we
Yeah,
can
okay.
Figure out what we can do.
That'd be good.
Find out.
and maybe,
Dave is back, maybe give him a call and find out when he's gonna do that.
Yeah, 'cause I
He hasn't
thought-
done one for a while, so it might be good time to get...
I called him here a while back, and it's, you know, with today's technology, you may have no idea where they are. He was in Hawaii answering his cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, and I think they were gonna be there a month, but I think it's getting close to the
Well, the only
time.
reason we need them early is because we're doing this ahead of time. you know.
Yeah.
It's an important one, but I think this information will help us a lot going forward on these
Oh, I do too.
projects, so.
I do too, 'cause I want their input on, you know, how do we handle these that
We
we...
have a better answer, a clearer thing.
Yep.
I mean, this is just giving estimates, doesn't cut it in today's world anymore, because so many variables out there, so we're gonna, have different prices on this, so.
Yep. And
Okay.
on reclassifications, we've got 11 of them ready to meet with commissioners, all of those within DD 11 that you authorized. Yeah, so I'm gonna give Pat and Brent a bad time, because that'd be a profitable day for them, because we have a minimum per each for their time. But they do a great job, they take it
Well, they've got a
seriously.
good flow.
They've got a good flow, yes, they know what's worked
The nice
before.
thing is, there's some consistency in the way they look at things.
Yes.
There've been, you know, they've done more than just one every so often.
Yes.
There's enough of these.
That's right, yeah, it almost...
They're very good at it.
Yeah, they are good, so that's,
Good.
as long as they haven't skipped town for a few days here, I'll meet with them yet this week and get through
They
those.
get busy.
Yeah, exactly, you know, we're coming on the time, well, the thaw we had indicated that we're getting there, so, just being sure I had, working with Mitch and Abe on 125 for possible annexation. I got a note to get a hold of him, because they have topography on part of it, but not all of it, so I wanna keep him up to date.
Good.
I'm gonna do research on a couple here today for reclassification, but work with Trish on that, so.
All right.
DD 9,
Yes.
What about
the one that could be a possible joint with Lake County.
Oh, that one.
I'm still doing lots of digging, I'm going back to 1918, I think it was.
Okay.
I've gone through all the minutes, and I did find,
Found a map, didn't you, the other day?
I found the map,
It's
and
kinda
I
interesting.
also found a tile agreement that was just in the Wright County area, so I don't know how you proceed with that. And it was recently updated in 1996, I think.
That's not so terrible.
No, and that's...
No, and it,
Lifetime.
Yeah, the drainage wise, it's new.
1896, or 1996, so that.
yeah, so I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't got through that completely yet, hopefully this afternoon.
Maybe talk to Rick about that, and see what, get his thoughts on
Yeah,
what you wanna do,
yeah.
what we need to do or don't need to do. There's no need to rewrite a book.
No, that's right, and that's,
It's still
yeah,
reliable, and you've located it, just make sure they're aware of it, and then before we proceed and change anything.
yes, there you go.
Especially in a small parcel, it's not good.
They are to be paying, but yeah, I have to get through that and try and interpret that yet. And
Okay, that's good.
Work with Trish, yeah.
Thanks, Trish, for finding.
yeah, and like you said, that was just in Wright County records, right? You didn't,
I
yeah,
had nothing in mind. I
yeah,
had some minutes, but then the tile agreement was with Wright County.
Well, that's where you pulled that from. Oh, okay,
And I-
she had it out the other day. She put it up there, and it was just, you know, didn't know it existed, or didn't know it was there.
Hey,
That's maybe will help this process get a little cleaner, so we don't have to rewrite. the
Yeah,
book on it.
yeah. 'cause the annexation was done and approved, I believe, but it depends on how this agreement affects that,
Okay.
so.
All right,
We'll get to the bottom of that too.
thanks, Rick.
You betcha.
You sound like
Thanks,
you've been
gentlemen.
battling.
It was a terrible cough, thank goodness I'm over that.
Get through
And
that.
it actually, I think it helped, my boy lost shingles on his roof in Ames Friday in the wind, went down yesterday and spent all afternoon on the roof. But I actually feel better today, other than a few
Fresh air out,
scrapes.
huh?
Yeah, scrapes and bruises, but haven't been coughing as much,
Motion to go
so.
out of drainage.
So moved.
And second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks a lot, Rick.
Bruce, a nice article on you and Dallas. I enjoyed reading that.
Thank you.
That's,
It was all done by the NFL. So Phil Munson put the article together, but,
okay. Yeah, I enjoyed that very much.
yeah, he went by.
Oh, he did, okay, I hadn't seen him, all right.
You know, the other, Sunday I was up at that, or Saturday I was up at that auction, you know, they had that Frank Gotch stuff up there, and I
Oh, yeah.
was talking to Dave Hunter Mark, and he was asking about any tile projects, and he said, are you guys ever gonna do anything in plastic? Because they evidently put that for his, up there in his mom's. And he said that they really had good luck with that.
Look at it.
And just so you know, we have that as an option.
That's what I wanted.
Branch B.
Right.
He said, boy, he says, when they put that in there, he's no worrying, did they get it, you know, is the corner too big, is it not butted up?
Right.
Just snap it together and you're gone.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, we've got it in there, and we've been nailing down the specs so that it's covered good.
Awesome.
And we met with the supplier just last weekend to get through those, and be sure we weren't missing anything.
All right, that's good.
And if nothing else, it'll really help your concrete prices.
Yes.
That's what I think, too.
Yep.
Okay, Kim's not gonna be here, so you're up today. Get on up there, get him out of here.
He was just sitting there in the chair.
It's kinda coming up, nobody knows. You're up. Paul.
Surrounded by crud.
Yeah.
Everybody's there.
Good morning.
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 Paul.
You have a couple orders of business. The first one is to award the following box culvert replacement projects. We had 3 projects we let last week, 3 different contractors. We did not tie them, so they are awarded on a single basis, and you guys got only an email version of this, didn't you? So I have more than one copy. I did email you
Yes, you did.
bid tabs, spells out the unit prices on these. And we didn't find any corrections or busts.
Okay.
And so as we had it on last Thursday is the way it remains today with our project in Corinth, 192810 to Rugness Brothers out of Lake Mills, Iowa for $120,958.10. LC 282950, which is up in Grove Township, just about straight north of the quarry, straight north of the old landfill. 10 by 10 on the dredge ditch there to Dow's, or to Whiteman Inc., out of Dow's, Iowa, $98,103. And the third one was a 14 by 14 box up in Delana on 120th Street, just east of what is that, Iowa, Mort? Yep. And it's LC 391660. 60, to PCI, out of Rhinebeck, Iowa, for $199,880.
I think as a board, we were all pleased with the bids. We had several good contractors, 4 of them at least showed up to be present, and each one of those bids were underneath the engineer's estimate, whether that was by magic or just the luck of the draw, but...
Yes.
And in the end, 3 different good contractors we worked with got a bid, so they all got some work to start on, so they'll probably be back to bid again, so... I was really pleased with the outcome of this one, so...
Yeah, they really, some pretty tight ones even.
And even second place and third place bids were pretty close on a couple of these.
Yeah, they're very competitive.
$2,000.
Well, considering that, the biggest cost of this is the box.
Right.
What's left over is the only thing they're playing with.
It's not a lot.
So, do you want a motion on those individually, or?
Probably individually would be,
Different contracts.
you can just, roll them off.
All right, I'll take the motion on the first one, which is 282950.
I'll make a motion for 1928. What are we talking about?
He's in the middle
He
one.
went to the middle.
I listed them differently.
282950.
I'll make the motion for, that is,
Whiteman.
that's for Whiteman at, $98,103.
All right.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
And our second one, as it's listed on our agenda, is 391660, the bottom one.
I'll make a motion on that.
Now, the contractor is?
Whiteman Inc. for $221.
No, PCI.
Oh, for God's sakes. $199,880.
There you go. Thanks, Mort. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, then the final one would be back up top, which is 192810. Is there a motion on that one? Mort, do you wanna do it?
Okay, we'll do that.
All right, Rogers?
Rognus, yeah.
Yep.
For $120,000?
$120,958.10.
That's officially Rognus Brothers, by the way.
All right, Steve, or Bruce, second that, all in favor?
Aye.
The good news is all five of these contractors have worked, with the county on these. The middle three, PCI, Whiteman, and Midwest, for years were beating each other up initially. Then Rognus came in, 2 years ago?
They've been getting some.
And, Riley came in last year, so, look at, we have, it's good to have these competitive and this many people interested, because we get good work and a good price, so, it went well. And our price is, based off of last year's and year before's, and, how much work's out there, and it's, yes, it's an engineer's guess, so. Second order of business is, starting for next year's projects already, it's, approve, IDOT federal aid agreement for a county highway bridge program project number, BROS, parent 68 is what it amounts to. Located on 270th between Lone Tree and Ohio Avenue. It's, down toward the bottom of the county, or, mile off the county line, east of the river. Probably will be a bridge. We have, for this agreement, it's listed preliminaries of $225,000. And I don't know that we'll, at the time this was programmed for, 225 was a couple of years ago. Hopefully we'll get it, it might be more than that.
All right. Somebody wanna make a motion on that?
I'll make that motion for, that'd be our, CO 4668, 8J 46, that's a lot of numbers.
Motion on it? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Good.
And on these agreements, DOT doesn't approve anything until we scan the board and the county auditor on the thing, so.
Get a little more clearance with the bridge for the trees and stuff that go down.
Well, and that's the
There's a lot of
concern,
brush there.
that's part of the concern. It's, got decent slopes, it's a natural stream, and it looks like a white water. When you get big rains, it's, really rolling through there. We've played with preliminary numbers on, and we did bridge borings so that we know we can get piles in there. We had full 60-foot borings done from the deck. Just down the road, we couldn't get it. You know, that's how much difference the rock is just between the arch at Lone Tree and this.
Yeah.
This looks like it'd be a bridge. We are considering right now, early stage, even trying to make it a one-span bridge, possibly using our beams.
Oh, that'd be great.
Maybe. Then the 225 would be easily enough. But, and then it'd be a federal aid project, everybody should be happy on that. But this, because of, all of the things that go with the federal aid, we started and, have begun to try to do it for a letting that wouldn't be till next year at this time.
Just takes time.
Yeah,
When you repaired that bridge that burned up there here a few years back, the one abutment had kind of washed down in. What did they ever do with that? Did they take that out, or did they, and put a new abutment on the end? Or did they just bury it right where it was?
I guess I'm not sure, we had one abutment, old abutments from the bridge. We built this bridge that burnt down over the top of the old structure. And then, the old abutments washed and leaned up against, the west pier, and still is. The east abutment must have fell completely over in the past, because it was just laying there as, like, on the bank. That's the way it's been.
Did they take that out of there, or is it something that's gonna come up and we're gonna have to pay,
no, we have that all listed in, on the removal of structure, including previous abutments. It's in the item for removal of structure, so the contractor's made aware, that all of that's in there somewhere. We want it out of there, we don't want it left in place.
Yeah. I just remember that being there when they...
No, it's been a problem, and it was leaning against the piles, but,
Yeah, it'd have to come out now if they put a box in it, and that's what I was wondering.
yeah, to get any decent compaction, you gotta get rid of a 28-foot slab or chunk of concrete underneath there. We tend to take everything out to flow line, and then below the flow line, we might leave it, but, this'll come out, definitely.
Okay.
Otherwise, no news is good news.
You like,
You already got signatures.
you betcha.
Did you get
On the roads.
Yeah, you did really good. All right, our next item, we're down to approving a business property tax credit for 2014.
I was informed by the assessor, excuse me, after we had run taxes and property tax, that there was one that was missed.
Okay.
So this is the application of the one that was missed, and,
That can happen.
yep, so we went back and, added it to our business property tax claim.
Okay.
And so it'll come through the state with additional money on it, then to cover it, amounts to about $322 in savings for the tax credit for the taxpayers.
So I entertain a motion to approve this.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Well, it's nice you caught it earlier, got it caught.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, on the next item to be aware of, because we're gonna have to sign that agreement, loan agreement, so we need a resolution for that, right, Peggy? 2016-4?
Yeah, they require a resolution formed out
That's right.
for the $360,000 loan payment that we will be signing, Jerry and I, on Friday.
This Friday, thanks for reminding me.
Yep, at 9 a.m. here at the courthouse. The rest of you aren't required to be here, but Jerry and I will. So the resolution just very simply says that Humboldt County has applied for funding from Corn Belt Power for the law enforcement center equipment. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Humboldt County that Humboldt County guarantees repayment of the loan in the amount of $360,000 to Corn Belt Power Co-op for the law enforcement center as a general obligation of the county.
And this is similar to what we did with the LEC when we had the loan for them. We have to sign, if they want a resolution stating we're gonna pay it back.
Yeah, it's a 10-year.
10-year,
payback.
no interest,
Zero interest.
which is nice.
And there's been some money donated to that too, isn't
There has been some.
Yeah, let's see, yes.
Yeah, there has been, which is really
I
great.
think when we have the open house, it'll be mentioned again.
Yeah.
All right, so I'd entertain a motion to approve this resolution, so we can move forward on Friday.
I'll make a motion for resolution 2016-4.
Bruce, you want a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
Sign 2 copies.
Okay.
Then when that money comes in, we'll take it and deposit it, into the capital projects fund, then we'll do a transfer into the debt service, debt service fund. Building's not debt service.
I think that should be made an R.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
So, and then we pay it out of the debt service fund to pay back. So we'll get Bank Iowa paid off. I got a note from Dave Boswell this morning, I sent him an email, he told me what the interest would be.
Okay.
So we'll turn around and get that one paid off as soon as possible, so we can...
Cut down the
no
interest.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it was for, so. Okay. Okay, then we had this item with Carl brought up to us last week on this discussion and an action on this petition to establish a wetland mitigation bank, state-owned land. So,
And what they had asked was, they asked that we mail it to Governor Branstad on our letterhead and a carbon copy to Chuck Gipp with IDNR and Bill Northey with IDELS.
with the signature letter there at present, right?
Yes, and the petition.
Okay.
I don't know how much you got to look at that.
We looked at it last week a little bit, it's a great thing, this is what we
Yeah,
were talking about with Rick a little earlier, and it just, there's a need for it, that's for sure, so.
So we have to make a motion to sign the petition.
Motion on that,
So moved.
Bruce, and
I'll second.
Carol second. Any other?
I just will authorize the chairman then to sign the letter once I get it put together for you.
Yeah, I'll be around this week, and I'll check with you, back and forth, see
Sounds good.
next couple of days. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and we're back to Woodruff, we've got a little bit more to pay there, it looks like.
Mhm.
Yep, we got
Number 7.
application number 7 in the amount of $82,256.70. And that's for the LEC remodel.
What was that, the 18, I'm sorry?
$82,256.70.
Any comments on that, Rick?
Well, they have the front doors open, a few little glitches trying to get things finalized, but overall, she's moving along. The dispatch has moved up into their new office now, and, front lobby's open, and, they're gradually getting settled in, put it that way.
Good.
And, there's a lot to it, you know, there's stuff to hang on the walls yet, and filing cabinets to move yet, and, we gotta put a little mini split in the IT room so it can be cooler, because that has to have air conditioning in the wintertime, which sounds really dumb, but
Gets that warm.
it gets that warm in there.
Warm in there, I suppose. Rick, you wanna just touch base quick about, we're gonna have somebody make some custom lockers for, I think it was a great idea, so.
That is for, we have two separate evidence rooms in the LAC. We have a county evidence room, and we have a city evidence room. A local guy is gonna build us lockers, so each deputy has his own evidence locker. So John, our, county attorney, recommended having separate lockers so nothing gets lost, nothing gets confused, moved around.
Co-mingled.
Co-mingled.
Big problem on that
Yeah.
stuff.
And,
For different cases. Yeah.
so, you know, we have the evidence room locked, it's monitored with a camera. I think only 1 or 2 people have keys to the evidence room, so when somebody has to go in there, there's actually,
Go through them.
go through them.
They have to sign for...
They sign in.
It's signed in, it's recorded every time the door's opened,
That's right.
who opened the door.
Yeah.
It's on camera, so our evidence will be,
And if you were gonna do all that anyway, it makes sense to have individual lockers, 'cause that, when you explained that to me, and
well,
lock them up.
we went to another department somewhere else that had an evidence room, and they had just big shelves, and there's a pile of stuff sitting here, a pile of stuff there, and
Something could get slid back and forth.
there's no dividers even, and I thought
Yeah.
it could be better, and, this is what they came up with down there. I think it's a great idea,
All
so
right.
that we don't commingle evidence or
Yeah, I like
lose
that.
evidence.
And we're gonna have Davis do the work, and he does really good work.
Yeah.
I'm kinda glad
Yeah.
he was able to do that.
And then within the, also we have our weapons and drugs will be stored in a separate room, also away from this evidence, so
Good.
it's, a way, way better setup than what we had before, which is, it was embarrassing, actually.
Okay.
Treated evidence like that.
So does somebody wanna make a motion on this bill for $82,000?
82,256.70, I'll make the motion.
Okay, there's a
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Where's that put us on percentage then?
We have about 80,000 left with the change orders. I think that there's probably like 30-some thousand on the initial cost, and about 42,000 in change orders, which is part of the retainage also.
Okay.
We had better luck with that roof, but is it?
Well, that's why we're not gonna pay this until we get some rain and make sure the roof is, good. We're also gonna have the roof inspected from the roofing company and make sure everything's good on it.
Okay.
That's a good idea too.
Yeah, make sure their warranty is
What we
good,
pay.
yeah, so they come back afterwards, you pay them, and they say, well, it wasn't installed correctly, so the warranty's no good,
You
so.
guys installed it, so here we
So
go.
we wanna make sure that, the roofing people say it was installed correctly and everything should be good, the warranty and whatnot.
Thanks, Rick.
Mhm.
So we need to set a date and time for our public hearing. We're to that point. Peggy?
I was looking at March 15th, which is a Monday. We could go at 8:45.
8:45, that sounds like a good time.
What's the deadline on that?
Has to be approved by the 15th.
That's what I thought.
Mhm.
Okay.
We'll probably go with that then.
Yep, we don't wanna push that back any.
Yep.
All right.
No snow days.
And you gotta give 10 days notice, so if I get it to the newspaper by next Monday, to be...
You'll be okay.
I'll be-
Rick, you wanna make a motion on that?
Date
is it, Peggy?
March
14th
14th.
at 8:45.
I'll make a motion for the public hearing on the...
Right after ISAC.
What's that?
Yeah, it's the week of ISAC.
Oh, it is, wait, the day
So
before
we'll get it
that.
done before we go.
Yeah.
No, it's afterwards. but she wants it done before she goes.
Yeah.
The public hearing for, FY 16-17 county budget
Thank you, Rick. Is there a second?
for March 14th at 8:45.
Ward? Ward seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good. Okay. Peggy, you got any other business since we're...
Yeah, I do have a little bit of good news here. We got a letter from Union Pacific Railroad,
Oh.
and they have agreed to provide a $5,000 grant to Humboldt County for the equipment. So
Really?
Wow.
they said they'd be contacting me in
Sure,
June to arrange
That's
the
nice.
delivery of the check.
Don't go there, guys.
nice.
Thank you for that. That's
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I
great
thought we
to
were
have
done because
donations
all the
from
letters
people in the
had gone.
community.
And I think Rick's right, I think it'd be nice when they have an open house saying, no,
We acknowledge those.
I think you need to, that's
Yeah.
really
Because we had Gold Eagle and Casey's and...
good PR for them too.
Or someone else too, I'm trying to think of it.
Yeah, Mid-America.
Mid-America's busy doing something.
Mark just learned about him, so they decided to kick him, so...
Yeah. Anything else, Peggy?
That's it.
All right, let's do committee reports, because we've had 2 weeks to go through. Rick, you can start.
Well, I'll probably forget something because I left my book at home, but, I think on the 9th, we had, conference at the courthouse. Then on the 11th and 12th, I was down in Des Moines for the insurance meeting, the IGHEP. That was very interesting, because, it's a great group to be in, from what I was seeing. And then I was back in here on the 18th for a bid opening. On a work session. And there might have been something else, but I missed it. Okay.
I gotta go back, clear back to the first, so I was at the LEC meeting. We went through the budget that time, and let's see, then, the 9th, I had the conference board, and, the 18th, secondary roads construction and bridge to box meeting. And we let them slow in, so.
Okay.
I had the conference on the 9th upstairs. I also had the, ministerial meeting, but I'm looking for that out at the hospital, and that was over at the church. So, by the time I got over to the church, they were walking out, so I got to talk to them as they were leaving. And then I was back over here for the 18th, for the bid letting.
Okay, Carl's gone today, so, okay, conference meeting, I guess, on the 9th of February, of course. On the 10th at 5:30, I had an EOC, or the 911 board meeting, Peggy and I were at the EOC Center. Went through that budget in detail. And then 11th and 12th, I was down to the insurance meeting, which again, Rick and I enjoyed, and good presentation. We learned a lot about why healthcare costs are headed in directions they have been. The one quick thought I thought of is our group is running almost 2% less than the average book of business of Walmart, so that's, makes us feel good that we have a real good group that we're working out. If we continue to maintain that, stay below their averages, that's about all we can expect. And I believe we're gonna be looking at about a 5% now, isn't that correct, Peggy? So that's come down a little, we got some adjustments we made there, so. And on the 15th, we had our emergency management, public hearing, meeting at 4 o'clock, so we had, I forget, we probably had about 10 out of the 12 ones, that people that needed to be there. We had really good turnout. There's only 3 times that did, 2 people that did show up, so. Went through that budget, nothing outstanding there. And then, of course, that bid letting with Paul on the 18th, and I think that's all I have. And once again, the Farm Bureau meeting is tonight at 6, so everybody wants to go to that. All right. I have nothing else. You guys, anything? Hearing any? Nothing? Just, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we